So, David Archuleta is an interesting figure in pop culture to me because my idea to who David Archuleta was that he was just this guy that competed on a singing reality show and became famous, which was a pretty common thing that happened in the early 2000s. My whole introduction to David Archuleta was actually through kids programming because he appeared in not one, but two popular kids programming in the late 2000s.
Hello?
Hey, Hannah, it's David Archuleta.
Hey, David, what's up?
David guest starred on iCarly and Hannah Montana in the same year. But the interesting thing about David Archuleta is he didn't even win his season of American Idol.
David Cook.
Now, this isn't unique at all. There have been other contestants of American Idol that did not win their season, but still went on to have a pretty prolific and successful career. But at least at that point, it was never at the expense of the actual winner. Like in season 3, Jennifer Hudson lost in the same season Fantasia won. But Jennifer went on to win Grammys, an Oscar, an Emmy, a Tony, and probably the highest honor in the entertainment industry, a mishap of a daytime talk show.
Whether it's for style or function, Mama Hood needs a belt. Oh, you quit.
So the point is, as hard as it is to believe, back in those days, just being on American Idol did a lot for a person's career. And even if you lost, if you made a big enough impression, you too could get a recording contract. However, winning the show was still your best path to fame. So it's interesting that in season 7, David Cook, the actual winner, seemed to have been overshadowed by the runner-up David Archuleta. That's not to say that David Cook didn't experience any success after winning American Idol, but David Archuleta did have a more prolific career after the show ended. I mean, he was on a Nickelodeon and Disney Channel show, which everyone knows is the highest honor you can receive in the early 2000s. So let's take a look at society's brief obsession with David Archuleta. David Archuleta was born in Miami and is of Honduran descent. As a child, he competed on Star Search, another talent competition seeking out young performers.
Sometimes I feel good, yeah. At times I feel used.
Though he didn't win, he would go on to audition for the 7th season of American Idol when he was 16 years old. It's important to understand that at the time, winning American Idol meant a legitimate chance of becoming a pop star. Now, reality singing competition shows don't seem to do that much for anyone wanting to pursue a singing career, but in the early 2000s, American Idol winners have gone on to sell millions of records and become super famous musicians. They would win $1 million as well as a recording contract with a major record label to produce up to 6 studio albums. Earlier winners experienced a lot of success from participating in American Idol. The first season winner, Kelly Clarkson, has sold over 25 million records and has had 3 #1 songs. So winning American Idol was a big deal and could really boost your career. In fact, even when you don't win American Idol, you still get the chance of being signed to a record label. Whenever before have someone who lost American Idol experience more success than the actual winner of the competition. At the end of the 7th season of American Idol, the 2 finalists were 17-year-old David Archuleta and 24-year-old David Cook. Pretty much everyone thought that David Archuleta was the clear winner. After their final performance, Simon Cowell even said that David Archuleta won the night.
David, you came out here tonight to win, and what we have witnessed is a knockout.
And even his competitor, David Cook, said he's pretty sure Archuleta just won the entire show. So when it was time to announce a winner, everyone had a good idea which David would win. But in a surprising turn of events, David Cook beat out David Archuleta. Not only did Cook win, he won by a landslide. He won by over 12 million votes. Over 66% of the total votes went to him. And the world was never the same again. After Archuleta lost, the public response seemed to have been that people thought he should have won. A lot of people were disappointed in the results, especially teen girls. See, it's important to contextualize what was happening at the time. In 2008, when the seventh season was being aired, at the time there was a huge teenage heartthrob sensation gripping the nation. Likes of Zac Efron and Jesse McCartney had teen girls in a chokehold. The same mania would go on to fuel the careers of artists like Justin Bieber and the Jonas Brothers. To be fair, teen heartthrobs were always a really big deal, and David Archuleta, being an attractive teen boy at the time, also tapped into that mania. He had a very large teen girl fan base, but it still was not enough to secure him the win in the show. Still, because of the public's obsession with David, he was still able to secure a record deal despite losing the competition. David Cook would of course go on to record his own debut self-titled album, which debuted at number 3 on the Billboard 200, with almost 300,000 copies sold in its first week, which is a very good debut for a new artist. Conversely, Archuleta would release his own debut album in 2008, which sold 166,000 copies in its first week. Fewer than Cook's album, but it still debuted higher at number 2 on the charts. What's interesting is that there seems to have been a somewhat of a correcting history approach with these two. Both artists were nominated for Teen Choice Awards for Best Breakout Male Artist after they both released their albums, and this time David Archuleta won over David Cook, which again reinforces the idea that Archuleta had a very strong teen fan base. Which made sense because David himself was a teenager and Cook was 24 at the time he won American Idol. But after the show ended, the opportunities didn't stop rolling in for Archuleta. He was a guest star on The Ellen Show and even performed his debut song Crush, which is crazy because he was just the runner-up, like he didn't need to be on the show at all. Cook would go on to release 2 more albums. The second one was moderately successful and the third was less so, but for Archuleta, he kept on receiving so much exposure and opportunities that a lot of people would have probably thought he was the winner of his season. In the year following the competition, he would go on to receive the highest honor any entertainer could earn, a guest starring role on 2 of the most popular children's programming on Nickelodeon and Disney Channel. David Archuleta made a guest appearance on iCarly in the episode I Rocks the Vote. In this episode, the iCarly gang is obsessed with a reality singing competition show called America Sings, and the finale is the next day.
David!
He's not gonna win.
Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
The 2 finalists are David Archuleta and Wade Collins. Carly and Sam are huge fans of David Archuleta, but the insiders are saying that the chances of him winning are very low. So during their web show, they encourage their viewers to vote for David in the competition. The next day, when the winners are announced, it's revealed that in a surprising turn of events, David Archuleta won. The girls are very excited, but they soon find out that their web show influenced the voting and that there was a huge surge of votes for David Archuleta following their broadcast. Carly feels very guilty about influencing the vote and robbing Wade Collins of the victory, especially when during an interview he reveals that his mother is very ill and he was going to use some of the prize money to help her with her illness.
His mother needs surgery.
She's not getting it now.
Man, I forgot. The winner gets a big recording contract for a ton of money.
Yeah, I hear the loser gets nothing.
Carly decides to help Wade Collins by bringing him on the iCarly show, in the hopes that the exposure could help him land a record deal as well. When Wade arrives to the web show, he reveals that all he got for coming in second was a jacket and a gift certificate to BF Wang's. He made it very clear that the girls' involvement derailed his singing career.
We're sorry we influenced the voting.
And kind of ruined your life.
Oh, no worries. You didn't ruin my life. You just ruined a big part of it.
So Carly comes up with an idea to shoot a music video for Wade to get his career started. He agrees empathetically on the web show, but once the cameras are off, he reveals his true self. He scolds the iCarly gang for ruining his career and reveals himself to be a rude, condescending diva who hates teenagers and America.
I'll come over tomorrow and we'll shoot the video then.
Okay. What time?
When I get here. Oh, and I'll need a personal assistant. You?
Yes!
Wade Collins is leaving!
The gang is disappointed they have to make a music video for someone so terrible, but they decide to push ahead anyways. It was very difficult to put the video together because Wade was disruptive and kept calling people hobknockers.
I swear, you're all just a bunch of hobknockers.
Hobknockers?
I'm going down to get some yogurt.
Yogurt?
Eventually, the gang were able to finish the music video, and as they're about to hand it to Wade, he reveals that his mother is not actually sick and that he lied about her illness to get sympathy for the show. Disgusted by this, Carly refuses to hand over the video, but Wade pushes his mother on Carly and steals the disc anyways. On the web show, the iCarly gang invites David Archuleta to talk about his experience working with Wade, and they play a compilation of footage outtakes from the music video of Wade being awful, officially ruining his good image.
I hate children, I hate teenagers, I hate animals, and I hate America!
Isn't he charming?
The iCarly gang encourages their viewers to go to Wade's hotel and beat him up, and the episode ends with Spencer doing a performance on his banjo because David's voice was too hoarse to sing. Or maybe Nickelodeon didn't want to also pay to license any of his music. But that's it. That's the iCarly episode, and it's a very weird one. So the obvious change is that in the iCarly universe, David Archuleta actually won the competition. The writers were so disappointed with the results of American Idol that they wrote a whole episode where David Archuleta actually won. The right David won this time. The interesting thing about this is that it really capitalized on the idea that David Archuleta was the one that deserved to win. But what was even more interesting was the decision to make the Wade Collin character a terrible person to justify David Archuleta winning. It was like they needed you to hate David Cook to feel good about David Archuleta winning. One of the most mean-spirited things they did was to have Wade Collins lie about his mother being sick to gain sympathy votes to win the competition. It's particularly heinous because David Cook's brother was battling brain cancer for 11 years. In fact, on the show, David dedicated one of his performances to his terminally ill brother, and the iCarly writers seemed to think it was a ploy to get sympathy. So they wrote this really mean-spirited episode where David was this really terrible, obnoxious person. And what's worse is that only 3 months after this episode aired, David's brother passed away from his cancer. So like most iCarly episodes, looking back on this, it's very problematic. David Archuleta also guest starred on Hannah Montana. In the episode, there's a high school dance and Miley really wants this cute guy to ask her out. However, the guy remains oblivious to Miley's advances.
Ask me to prom. Ask me to prom.
Miley works up the courage to directly ask him if he wants to go to the dance with her. However, at that point, he had already been asked out by another girl. Miley is really disappointed by not having a date to the dance. Then she sees this nerdy guy trying to ask out another girl, even going as far as to give her a rose, but she rejects him. Miley feels bad and tries to comfort him and let him know that he's a really great guy and any girl would be lucky to go to the dance with him. So he asks her out.
Will you go with me?
Keep walking.
Miley.
You meant me, Miley.
Miley really doesn't want to go to dance with him, but she agrees just to be nice. Later that day, Miley gets a call from David Archuleta. He lets her know that he's in town recording music and wants to record a duet with Hannah Montana that night. However, Miley had already made the commitment to go to the dance. Still, she tells David that she would be able to make the record. Miley decides to go to the guy's house to let him know that she can no longer go to the dance with him. His family made a whole big commotion about him going to the dance and even going as far as to get a new camera to commemorate the moment. But Miley delivers the bad news that she's no longer going to dance with him. Miley goes out as Hannah Montana to record the duet with David Archuleta. During the recording, however, she feels immense guilt about flaking on her date, and so she stops the recording to fulfill her promise. David says that he understands and that she needs to do what she needs to do. Miley rushes home, gets dressed, and goes to the guy's house to ask him out to the dance again and asks for his forgiveness. They go to the dance and have a great time. This episode was definitely more lighthearted than the iCarly one. Also, this episode directly references David Cook, hinting that the show follows the same outcome of the show in the real world. This episode didn't really have a lot of content. Like a lot of the later Hannah Montana episodes, it seems like the purpose of this episode was more so to promote the single rather than tell a story. Like it really seems that the episode was written around the single. Like they worked backwards from, we have this Hannah Montana David Archuleta duet, what story can we write where they'd be recording / performing the song together? I still did like the episode. I thought it had a sweet message, and as for the song they recorded, it's definitely not my favorite. Also, David's vocals are really low on the track to the point where calling this a duet feels a little generous. It's an okay song, nothing to really write home about. Now, it makes perfect sense why David Archuleta would go on these shows and not David Cook, because David already appealed to that young tween audience. So having guest appearances on these shows felt very on theme, although he had very limited screen time in either of these shows. Even more than that, David Archuleta is isn't the only Teen American Idol winner to make guest appearances on kids programming. When Jordan Sparks won American Idol, she had guest appearances on The Sweet Life on Deck and Big Time Rush. But even then, it didn't seem that out of place because Jordan won her season of American Idol, which was the season right before David Archuleta. So it's still pretty weird that despite not winning, he was able to go on to do so much, seemingly at the expense of the actual winner, David Cook. After some time, David did take a break from music, but he has recently gone back to recording new music and even competed on another singing reality show, The Masked Singer. Man, there's so many of them now. So anyways, that's it. I don't really know how to end this video. I just briefly remembered that David Archuleta was on both of these shows and I just wanted to talk about it. So yeah. I promise the next video is gonna be way more interesting. So let me know what your guys' thoughts are below. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you so much for supporting the channel over this year. It's been amazing to see the channel grow, and I'll see you guys next time.